Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back. And today we're doing a tier list. I know we've already done a tier list on infantry, cavalry, range units, but this one's on mastery. So if you're like a new player and you haven't got used to the mastery system, or you're wondering which ones to do, because, you know, obviously scrolls of mastery, quite precious, don't have a lot of them, so you might want to pick one, pick whatever. So we're just going to tier out the masteries, which one's the best, which one's most useful. As usual, this is my list. You probably have different opinions to me. This is just my opinion. But, you know, there will be some outliers that are up top and stuff like that. There'll be some tier 3s that are right next to tier 4s. Stuff like that. That doesn't mean that the tier 4 is the same power as the tier 3. It just means their mastery is useful. So yeah, let's have a look at what we've got. Okay, here we go. We are going to start off with the greens, and we'll work our way to the purples. Obviously, there aren't any legendary, or tier 5 masteries, but we will start off with the javelin militia. Javelin militia, of course, their mastery gives them a lot more. They get an extra like throw that doesn't cost any ammunition. It's like a charge throw. It's pretty nice. And obviously all the kind of passive stuff. So we did a video on these guys, and they can throw, like, if you combine their throws, they can throw like, what is it, 64 javelins. That's 32-man unit. Yeah, 64 javelins within about 3 seconds. So as a value for a green unit, it's pretty high. You do run out of ammunition very quickly, and you have to obviously resupply them quite a lot. But as it goes, as a 105 leadership unit with fully mastered, I think they've got high value, and that charge has a huge block break. Like, it knocks things over. So personally, I think they're very useful. Just as that last cheap unit to throw in. So I am going to pop them in A. I really enjoy using them. They're, yeah, a lot of damage. Even if you only get a few throws off, they can still pick up a really decent amount of kills. And you'll probably get your value out of them, even if you only get maybe like 2 or 3 of the mastery charge ability off. So yeah, very nice. Moving on, and we got the domain, or the Demise Javelineers. Now their mastery, if they hit a target, they will regain their ammunition, not kill it, regain the ammunition, and they also slow enemies by 80% for 4 seconds when they hit them with the javelin. So as an annoyance, really nice, but the javelin doesn't hit that hard. We have mastered these to an extent, but their javelin doesn't hit them that hard. But as an annoyance in a team, they could be good, but compared to a lot of the other masteries here, you know, they're still a green unit. They fall short. Unlike the javelin militia, they actually have a punch. Like, you can really punch things with them, where these guys don't have a punch, they just have a slow. So in certain situations, good, but we're going to pop them in C because it is useful. You'll never run out of ammunition, but yeah. Moving on, we got the pike, the rattan pikes. Rattan pikes, I'm going to put ahead of these in A tier. Rattan pikes could be S tier, but of course, the biggest issue with any of these greens, and especially rattan pikes, takes one musket who decided to take liquid fire to completely destroy them in one throw. So you don't really... That's the damn thing. Even if you've got like a green... If you see rattan pikes, if you've got a green scorpion, you just pull it out, shoot them once, and they'll all die. But in the situation where that's not the case, they can lower the damage of all the units in front of them. And their master obviously makes a cloud that does a bit of a slow, bit of extra poison damage, and then reduces damage from enemy incoming damage. So once they've sort of poisoned everybody up, yeah, they do very well. You won't get a lot of kills, but as a team play unit, really, really nice. We also did a video on those. Moving on, pike militia. Pike Militia, really, really nice. They have a 90% slow on their when they're braced and things hit them. So they are very good, and they can take out cav that is quite a lot higher tier than them, but there's a slight problem with them. They're obviously, their damage isn't that high. Any infantry will most higher level infantries will eat through them. But I will say the slow, I have been hit as a hero by the slow, and it is super strong, especially in sort of a glob situation. You plant them in there, and then if you're a hero and you try, like I would go in for a throw with my shurikens as a dual blade, and if it taps me, then I'm 90% slow, and I try and get away, and it feels like you're stunned, basically. I'm not sure if it's 90% or I think we haven't actually fully mastered these. We've done a little bit, but I played around with them on the PTR. But yeah, they were quite fun. But I'm going to pop those in B tier. I think they're still good, and that's another thing with all the mastery units. They're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. So there's a few outliers that are a bit meh, but you know, if you master a unit, they're going to be better than the kind of non-masteried equivalent. We got the Rattan Swordsman. Rattan Swordsman, they basically do the same thing as pikes, but for some reason when I use these, they don't tend to land their poison as much. So they're like mastery poison. But yeah, it's a green one. You know, I'm going to put it down in C. That's going in C. I don't have a huge amount of use with them, but compared to the other ones here, I think they kind of fall a little bit short. The pikes seem to, especially with I don't know if it's just the way the pikes work, but they seem to hit more. So yeah, I'm going to put them down in C. Moving on, the Iron Cap Scouts. Is it Scouts? Iron Cap Scouts? Iron Cap Swordsmen. Iron Cap Scouts are the cavalry. Iron Cap Swordsmen. Those are going to go in A tier. These guys, I would even stress that I'm going to put them in S tier, but for the little bit of leadership, they're like mastery with the extra, with the hero stuns and not being able to be interrupted by certain attacks while they're charging. Makes these guys really solid. The amount of times I've been killed by these caught off guard, you think, oh, it's just a green unit, they charge them and then they suddenly hit you for like 8k. Really, really good at killing heroes. I would, yeah, if you're going to master a green unit, these top 3, really, really nice. These are, yeah, definitely my top 3 mastery units for green tier. But yeah, catching people off guard, maybe like even you got the siege tower arrives up at the wall, you have them there, X them just so they all clump up and then charge them down the siege tower. Any heroes caught out, or up the siege tower, any heroes caught out, you'll just take them very, very quickly. Moving on, the Demise Spearmen, we're going to put those in C. Yeah, we're going to put them at the end of C. I'd even put them in D. They're probably my least favorite out of the lot. They can do a lot of damage with the extra sort of when they put their shields in the back and do a stab, but kind of as a shield unit, I don't know. I just haven't had much luck with them. They don't really stop much as a shield, and their damage, they're slow. They're really slow to get that damage out, and when they do, they hit hard, but by that point, if something bigger and better's come up, it can, yeah, they just get wiped. So I'm going to put those in C. I'd hesitant to put them in D because they're okay, but they're very niche unit. And now Iron Cap Spearmen, first blue. We're going to put these in B. They have their use in the blue tier lock at the start of new seasons. They're kind of the only good shield unit we can use. Potentially the actually Demise ones come into their own during that because they can actually survive stuff, but there's so much fire about that, you know, everything sort of melts quite quickly. But these guys, with their mastery, they have an immunity to some damages, everything with a little cooldown. So yeah, they're really quite good. They're really quite good. They've got a push back as well. They push things back. if you hit the shield wall. So it's going to be interesting actually to see these at the start of next season, because people have more time to mastery these and whatever. So I'm feeling like they're going to probably be higher up the list, but I haven't actually seen these in proper play yet. But if we're going off where they are now, I'd put them B. Still very good, but the only issue I have with them is that I'd love them to have a long formation, and they obviously only have a square and a round, so you can only really cover certain amounts of ground, and it's quite easy to get around the back of them. But their masteries definitely help them. They can survive a lot longer than you would expect. So we got Iron Cap Pikemen. These bad boys, I'm going to put in B as well. Really good, like really good, but kind of can be a one-time use sort of job if you don't land, or if whatever you're doing survives. It can be a kind of rough recovery for them. But as similar to the Iron Caps, swordsman, down a siege tower, up a siege tower, or along a wall or something, or cav coming towards you, charge them at it. Super strong, super good at killing heroes. But once that charge is over, it can get kind of rough past that. So personally, I'm going to put those in B. I am actually probably going to make a video on them at some point soon, but yeah, one-time use can be quite difficult for a video because you just have hundreds of clips. I much prefer having like one or two really good games with things. So, but we'll see how we get on. But I like them a lot. But at the moment, I'm going to pop them in B. You might pop them somewhere else, but obviously my list, so I'm going to put them in B. Then we have the Squires. Oh, when I saw the mastery of these come out, I had high hopes. I really wanted to run Squires, and I mastered them. Hated it. You might have different experience, but I really didn't like it. I didn't see the value from it. So we're going to pop these in D because, yeah, it's just basically their mastery gives you a second charge. So once you charge, everything you kill or hit recovers the cooldown of the other charge, and then vice versa. So you can charge. That sounds great on paper, but when it comes to an actual game, you'll probably lose most of them on that first charge, and that second charge will be useless. So, yeah. Now moving on, Prefecture Guard. Prefecture Guard is one of these weird ones where I don't bother with the last mastery trait on them. It actually affects the way you play them. So yeah, I don't bother taking that because it affects what you would do normally with these guys. Is you would click Prefecture Drills and then click Cover Commander, and they go mental. But for some reason, I found the last thing of their mastery was affecting that. So yeah, in mastery terms, and this is mastery, I'm going to pop them in C. Really good up till that last point. Don't bother with the last point. Go just everything but the last one. So kind of cheap to mastery, to be honest, because you don't need to spend any more on that last point. But if we're talking mastery terms, we're going to put them there. But actual power, they'd be up here. You know what? Actually, we'll move them to B. We'll move them to B because their mastery still helps them, but they were always quite powerful anyway. They were always a good unit for sort of chucking Prefecture Drills on, getting them on Cover Commander, and yeah, roaming them through. Halberdiers have always been a good unit. I'm going to pop them in A. I really like their mastery. I feel like it makes them even better. As I said, they were always really good, but their mastery, a little bit of health every few hits, an extra bit of damage every few hits. There's nothing bad in there. You put a few stun doctrines, anti-cav doctrines on them. You can take out tier of cav that are way higher than them. Just all-round great value. Their mastery's good, but as a unit, really good too. Mace Sergeants, mastery is S tier. Mace Sergeants aren't good until they get mastery. You give them mastery and they just become incredibly good. Extra stun on concuss. So, more healing. Yeah, just Mace Sergeants, mastery them. Mastery the Mace Sergeants. And now we're going to move on to the tier 4s and our first range masteries. We're going to go with the Imperial Arquebutius. That are, I know I keep saying that wrong, and I keep getting brought up in the comments for that, but I'm going to keep saying it that way. Their mastery, just trying to think of it. In mastery terms, I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference. Definitely to killing Cav, it's good, but compared to other things, I'm going to put them in B for where their mastery actually makes a difference. I thought the main thing that makes a difference is the extra health and stuff like that. These guys usually had like basically no health, and now having another, like, I think it gave them quite a nice little amount of health. So but I don't notice they kind of feel the same as they were before, but just a little bit more powerful. I don't think it made a huge amount of difference, is what I'm saying. But I'm putting them in B, and they are incredible. They do a lot of damage. If any Cav come around the corner, then yes, their mastery does make a ridiculous difference. But in terms of actual huge changes, it's a B. It's a B. But that brings us on to Kriegsrats. Kriegsrats mastery is crazy good. It's crazy good. Kriegsrats, the one problem was they always ran out of ammunition. Now they gain 12 ammunition for every target they kill. That means if some peasants come around the corner, these boys just instantly reload their full ammunition. It's made a big one. And then their second mastery, everything they kill, they gain 2% speed and 2% piercing damage. That takes them up to the most crazy amount of damage. And yeah, as a reminder, this list doesn't mean that they're better than Imperials. I think they are better, in my opinion, but the Imperials have a very different set. Like when their volley gets rolling, they're really good. If this was a unit list, they would both be up here, but this is mastery, so yeah, that's why this is just reminding you, because people are gonna think. Anyway, yes, Kriegsrats, crazy good mastery, moving on, we have the Spear Sergeants. Spear Sergeants, I did really enjoy using these. They are basically a damage sponge because they continuously heal. They get 3% of their health back every second on cover commander. And they've got triple strikes. That means when you advance them, they will all just stab 3 times. And if you catch a hero out with them, you can basically insta-kill them. But apart from that, they can still die to Cav pretty easily. I have a soft spot for them, but mastery-wise, we're going to put them in B. Big damage sponge, but could probably be something more unique. Yeah, so Spear Sergeants, yeah, B, I'm happy with that. Palace Guards, we're going to put in A tier mastery. They are pretty. Actually, I've just started using them, and they've got a really nice way of using them. You kind of charge them in, guard the throne, that is like where they kneel down, let them take a bit of damage for a bit, and this is what their mastery does, and it basically every bit of damage they take kind of resets the cooldown of guard the throne, and then you come out of guard the throne, that means they come and shield bash, and by that point it's off cooldown again, and then you click it again, they kneel back down, get all that lovely defensive sort of attributes to them, and then you rinse and repeat, and it's just like this moving wave of damage. It's really nice when it goes off, when it works properly. I'm still getting used to it, but when it works properly, it's really nice. So definitely one to give a go, and I think we're going to that'll probably be our next video, or one of our next videos will be the fully mastered Palace Guards. IPGs is going to be S tier mastery. Just being able to reset the cooldown of your advance, of your walk, amazing. Like, that's kind of what they needed beforehand. Before this was a thing with fully mastered IPGs, you know, you would walk them in once, you'd do quite well for that walk, but you'd very rarely come out with any left. And if you did, you're standing around waiting for your advance to come back. This way, even if you kill like a few things, you've got a bit of cooldown off for your advance. By the time, you know, you might be down to like a 15 seconds advance till you can go again, and that feels much better than waiting a minute to advance. So, yeah, it's very solid. It's very, very solid. And the hit they do when you click the button. I can't remember what the button's called, but you click it and it basically kills everything in front of you. Really like it. Really like it. The javelin sergeants. Those boys, they're really good. Javelin sergeants, really nice. They obviously get their ammunition back when they kill a target. That for a javelin that hits relatively hard is really nice. And then for everything they kill, they gain a bonus. So yeah, it's top tier. Means you can basically have them out for a longer time. Do a lot of stuff. They did get a nerf lately, but nonetheless, their mastery is very good. So S tier for them. Halberdiers sergeants. Their mastery is similar to the prefecture guard, where I don't bother going the full way. So I know some people do with the charge that puts them the charge in that puts them into a formation, the phalanx formation. But personally, this to me has always been a brace unit, and their mastery goes very much into charging. Granted, their mastery still has some good things like extra damage to infantry, extra damage to cav, that sort of thing. But overall, in fact, I'm going to put the mastery down and see. Overall, I think their mastery kind of voided. It kind of went way more towards charging and not enough towards bracing. So I've only gone to the point where it buffs their damage. I haven't gone to the last one where you charge them. Just felt like a waste of 20 blue scrolls. So I'm not going to do that. But they're in C. And now, men-at-arms. Men-at-arms, S tier. S tier in unit and S tier in the way their mastery works. Obviously, one of their masteries is where every 9 seconds they'll just randomly charge the closest target to them, and obviously with all the other buffs, and then they get 3% health back on cover commander. That makes them kind of a staple. You know, you can do good, you can do bad with them, but they're a solid staple. You basically don't see anyone without these in their warband. But yeah, solid. Can't complain. Their mastery, it's not particularly interesting, but similar to like the spear sergeants. But it's really strong. It's a really strong mastery. Imperial Javelineers mastery is incredibly good. Incredibly good. The shield throw, really, really nice. Having just the button suddenly wipes out everything in front of you. Cannot complain. There is nothing wrong with it. It's S tier, 100%. And then, yeah, I think that's it with those guys. Yeah, just I love my Imperial Javelineer mastery. I now couldn't deal without it. Took a little time to get used to having. Normally my direct throw was on 3, and then obviously when you master them, on 3 becomes the shield throw, and then on 4 becomes the aim. So that was a little bit tricky to get used to, but nonetheless, I think it's a great mastery. And then finishing off, we have the Imperial Spear Guard, and their mastery gives them 40 health a second back, and then they have kind of they bash things when it gets close to them on a cooldown. We're going to pop that in A. I think it's good, but these guys were really good beforehand anyway. They were great, but just adding mastery to them gives them that little kind of ticking overtime heal where if you leave them long enough, they'll just naturally bring themselves back to full. Not to the same extent as Spear Sergeants. Spear Sergeants with that 3% health every second means those guys are back to full within about 10 seconds, where 40 health is not much. These guys, I think we worked out, were gaining 316 health a second with the current health that I had. And that's kind of the same as Men-at-Arms with how much health they gain. But 40 a second, I mean, it's nice. And then obviously anything touches their shield, they get bashed away on a cooldown. So it's nice, but you know, they were already very good. But it just adds that extra little bit of top tier to them. So that is looking like our list, gentlemen. That's looking like our list. These are definitely, in my opinion, the top tier. Everything, as I said, everything with mastery is good. Or, well, maybe not squires, but everything is good. It's all usable. It's basically 90% worth getting, but I'd say your top tier of best masteries are these boys up here. These ones are all really, really good. These are really good too, but like just a bit more niche. So yeah, like for example, if we're looking at halberdier sergeants, I would still get their mastery to a point. Just leave that last node out. This C does not mean they're bad, because as a unit, you know, halberdier sergeants are really good at taking cav out, a bit more tanky than halberdiers. Halberdiers are also incredibly good, but yeah, I would still get their mastery. This doesn't mean they're a bad unit at all. It just means their mastery. Just clarifying it, you know, just you got to clarify. But that's it, gentlemen. That is it. I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you like this sort of content, I'd really appreciate the sub. Take care. I'll see you in the next one.